All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go with Complexity Catz against Mao's Thorzain. We have these two heading off. Their first map is going to be Overgrown.
Yeah, man, it is. Of course, we're going to have a ZVT here, and, you know, I feel like a lot of people are probably expecting Thorzain to be the favorite here.
Yeah.
Which is understandable, of course. He's just, you know, one of the top Terrans, whereas Catz just hasn't really represented himself quite as much in, like, the major tournaments. But, you know, he was doing pretty well in some of the previous semi-open games we saw. Of course, in the last round, we saw that awesome Infester play that he did off one base. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But you know what? They're going to be playing on a map here that they're actually probably both a little bit more familiar with than you might think on a new map, because the layout's actually pretty darn similar to what you'd see on Shakura's Plateau. If you look around on the minimap at where the bases are, they're actually pretty much the exact same. So with the Zalaga Towers as well are in the same spot. No, it is a little bit bigger, and it's a lot more wide open. I mean, the third base is almost impossible to hold with some type of wall off on this map. There's 5 huge, like 3 force field sized entrances, 5 of them into the third base. So very hard to defend that. So that could just essentially mean that this map would be a little bit more Zerg favored, since it is a lot more wide open. You can get those flanks a little bit easier. It's harder to abuse choke points as a Terran or a Protoss. So that could give Catz just a little bit more of a chance coming into this matchup.
Mobility will definitely help out. Things like Mutalisks, like Zerglings, will definitely be one of the key components in winning this match for Catz, because you want to be able to spread your opponent out as much as possible and then attack where the weakest possible spot is, whether that be an expansion, whether it be just the army. It's up to Catz to actually find that out, so he needs good scout as well. We'll see if he'll be able to do this, because Thorzain, boy does he have an amazing TVZ, as we've seen in the entire NASL playoff or NASL semi-open.
I mean, yeah, he's really fantastic player, really solid in so many ways. And of course, we saw him do some pretty cool strategies in the semi-open already. You know, just his overall play of just kind of very slowly pushing towards his opponent, continue to take expansions towards his opponent as opposed to away from them, and then just reinforcing that with you know, really sturdy tank lines, bunkers, turrets, everything. It just really plays like the style you'd see almost in like TVP and Brood War, where you're just really slowly moving out with siege tanks, extending these lines. And it ends up working out really well. It's hard to break a Terran player like that that's that patient. One of the biggest ways Zerg players punish Terran players that go for that type of style is punishing impatience when you do unsiege all your tanks and try to move forward. But Thorzain does not do that. He is so very patient with his play. And that's just going to make it a little bit more difficult for Catz to actually counter him. But it looks like we're just going to be seeing a Reactor Hellion expansion from Thorzain to open it up. And this could be a great move, since, of course, on this map, with how wide it open it is, you can, of course, not only deny the creep strat from Catz, but also deny him from taking that third base for quite some time.
Yeah, we're talking about mobility in the beginning phase. Zerglings, Mutas, obviously being great for Zerg. Terran, it's going to be those Hellions. Hellions are so important on a map like Overgrown. I would also expect some sort of drop play from him coming out in later stages of the game, but we'll get there as mid-game starts to approach.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised we haven't seen more drop play from Thorzain. He seems to really like playing like straight up in like every way possible, able to pick off opponents. We have seen a couple drops go off, but usually saves them for a little bit later in the game than we see from most Terrans. So he just likes to play very conservatively.
We've seen drop play be actually like up and down in the NASL actually. I mean, I can think of games where drop has just completely screwed their opponents. I'm thinking back to like Moonglade versus Select, where Select tried to do drops and it just bit him in the butt, man. Like, it was just duty. It did not work out at all.
If I remember that game, he got caught like way off guard, like right as he lifted his
twice.
And
He did it twice, and Moonglade just overran him, man. It was too easy.
Easy. I mean, we got to play like Select. It kind of gets a little bit predictable since he does that so often. Exactly. That was his style for a really long time. Now, with a player like Thorzain, I mean, his standard style is predictable, but it's not as easy to counter as something like knowing drops are going to be coming early on. It's just like, I know my opponent's going to play standard and macro. How do you counter that? Well, I guess you could try to find weaknesses in his build to you know, break him or something, but the more secure way to do it is just to macro even more yourself, take more bases than your opponent, continue to drone up. But of course, Thorzain's not some player that's just going to sit back no matter what. He sits back because he doesn't want to take those risks. If he sees you go ahead and just, you know, be really risky and drone up and continue to take extra bases, he will punish you for it with some type of early push. So Catz, I mean, I really got to say, I like that he's playing very standard here, though. I think a lot of people might have expected him in a matchup like this to try to go for some type of cheese to break Thorzain early on, but he's going for the very standard play thus far, and, you know, that's admirable.
Yeah, it is. There's the second gas that goes down. Are we going to see a third and fourth gas? That's normally the follow-up to this. Just get your very early layer out, and yeah, there they go. So I am expecting some sort of muta play from him, although it can be something like Infestors and Mass Zerglings. I doubt it is something like that. Normally we see very fast evolution chambers if we're to see some sort of infestor play, but for now I think it will be just straight up to mutas.
Oh, doesn't get the cancel on that creep tumor, unfortunately. But yeah, I gotta agree with you. With quad gas and with the lack of evo chambers, does look like it's going to be a muta play. Unfortunately, does need to just work just a little bit on his where his drones are at. There we go. Now pulling them. He actually had about 8 or 12 drones extra on saturation in the main and really undersaturated the natural, but now he has transferred those over, so that should help out Catz's economy just a little bit, and he's going to throw it on the macro hatch. So you know what, he's not trying to go take a third base that early on here. He's going to wait till he gets a lot of mutas, gets that map control, and then maybe go for it. Looks like he's actually going to move out with these queens. He's trying to push those Hellions back because he really wants to get that cruise road set up, but the Hellions are denying it. So he's just going to go ahead and defend that creep tumor with those queens and force either a scan from Thorzain if he wants to deny more creep spread, or force Thorzain to just go ahead and fall back and take a third of his own.
Yep, and for now, let's look at Thorzain's base. We've been focused on Catz for so long. Just because a lot of the action has been there, we can see just standard play. 3 racks, 2 reactors on the barracks, 1 factory out. Do we even have a starport out? No, we don't.
Nope.
So he's playing super standard, just getting a big army, concentrating on getting that type of army, and then going from there.
We might see these Zerglings try to get us around on these Hellions, but no. Nice use of the map. Thorzain, of course, falling into that nice little choke point, forcing the Lings to not be able to get us around, and thus they had to fall back. Oh, nice. Denying another creep tumor there from Catz. Unfortunately, he did not cancel it. So, oh, and there's the scan. He will be able to pick off some of this creep spread. That's going to be so annoying for Catz to deal with when his creep spread's been behind all game already. He tries to send in some Zerglings, but unfortunately, creep tumor dies anyways. So Catz is in just a little bit of trouble, not too much. He doesn't have his fire about 3/4 of the way done, but he is taking some damage from these Hellions and Marines.
Able to remove all the Marines from that particular push. Now a counterattack coming in from Catz with Zerglings, but it will do no damage. Look at how many units are back here. Really nice play by Thorzain just to intercept that very easily.
Yeah, and look at that. There's his trademark. Excellent timing yet again. If we look at his upgrades, +1 in combat shield is going to be finishing around the same time, and he already has stim, so he could be gearing himself up for a big attack. Or, you know what we've seen from Thorzain in the past, he likes to get his upgrades at a timing, but not necessarily actually commit to the engagement. Use that to be aggressive, to take an expansion, but not actually try to kill your opponent. So I'm curious to see
that's a
which
great
one
way to do that. And I think, you know, it could be a push or an expansion at this point. We see no 3rd and 4th gas, which means what are you saving up all the minerals? And it's probably for something very expensive like an expansion, or it can be everything committing to a push. Now we are at a stage where he's actually added on another barracks at this point, so it might be a very intense push, you know, and maybe an expansion behind that. I'm not really sure. But Catz already has Mutalists out on the field.
Yeah, that's why, you know, Thorzain might have missed his timing if he wanted to go for this, because he's going to move out right now, and unfortunately, Mutas are going to sweep right into the natural, and all he has is 1 turret, so he's either going to be forced to bring the Marines back home to defend, or go into some type of base trade scenario. He will not be able to defend with just that 1 turret. Maybe a little bit of a repair enough, but I don't think so. There are too many Mutas here. 11 Mutas flying in against 1 turret. He is trying to set up some more turrets as he realizes, yes, it is Muta play, as he couldn't, you know, scout that out beforehand, but here come the Mutas into the main, can be able to do some damage, pick off the turret that's in production. No, they actually don't quite get it. So just a couple of Marines here from Thorzain are keeping Catz at bay for now.
Yeah, no, Catz will know that the incoming push is right now. Zerglings are being just congregated in the front near the spine crawler, but Catz really doesn't have an answer to this push. And this can be a very big problem. As you said, a base trade looks imminent.
Yeah, look at that. 6 more Mutas on the way. So he's committing all of his gas to Mutas instead of making any Banelings, despite the fact that I did say make that Baneling nest a little bit earlier on while the Spire was on the way. He did not go ahead and get Baneling speed, so he's going to be relying purely on Zergling Muta to deal with this push. And it's going to be a lot more difficult to deal with as a result. But no, he's just going to go for the big counterattack. As you said, might just be a base trade scenario. Now the full wall has been raised up, and unfortunately with no Banelings, it looks like he's unable to break in there with the tank Marines and bunker. So he's just going to be forced to fall back, and now he's losing so much in his natural. Drones going down to all these Marines. He's going to be forced to engage here, and he needs to get a really good flank off. He's actually just sending in his Mutas right now, try to maybe pick off some of these tanks, but he's got to be careful because the Marines are supporting them.
Oh, there's a really tough predicament for Catz. Catz needs to push in pretty soon because this is a ticking time bomb. Looks like Banelings will splatter across those Marines at the natural, but now finally the Zerglings are coming in. Is he going to commit right here? The Mutas are coming in before all the Zerglings actually do, and you lose a lot because that now finally the Zerglings are streaming, and they'll tank most of the damage. The Mutas are going to stay alive for the most part. Now the Banelings are going to waddle through. Can they actually connect? No, they cannot. The siege tank from the left-hand side picks off all the banelings, and
Oh my
Thorzain
gosh.
comes out way on top
He
of that
could have got
battle.
that tank actually, but unfortunately he had everything in one. I don't know if it was in one control group or a miscontrol there, but he sent his mutas away. If he had picked off that last tank, that was what did the splash damage. Picked off every single one of those banelings in basically one volley. So he actually could have prevented all of that, picking off all of those Marines very efficiently. As it is, he did hold off the push, but he lost so much in the process. He only has 7 mutas out in this clump. Now he did get his third base up, but it is not droned up. So you know what? Catz actually not in that bad of a position with that third base up and running. The problem is he lost all of his creep spread, and now Thorzain is coming in from round 2. Now his army doesn't look that huge, and he doesn't actually have a third base behind. Oh, he has actually started that command center behind this. But I still feel like Catz is in this. He just really needs to start morphing in more banelings, getting ready to pick off some of these reinforcements. If he just tries to go for a counterattack, I don't know how well that'll work out.
Well, we'll see. Banelings are being morphed right now. The Marines are being picked off. The Marines trying to get over to the rest of the army, and the rest of the army is over here. Now, what he's trying to do is just keep pressing on his opponent because he knows he killed a lot of drones of his opponent. Catz does not have a huge drone count. Here we go in the front. There is a siege tank and a full marine or full bunker here. The bunker gets targeted down, and will it be enough to actually get in here? One remaining baneling. Will it connect? No, it'll go directly on top of that siege tank. And meanwhile, the pressure in the front natural has commenced.
Oh, he's doing so much damage, of course. Picked off all the drones near the hatcheries. Zerglings and banelings actually streaming in right now, but not able to get the connection they needed, so the Marines are still doing an insane amount of damage. The tanks are actually being killed off by one Zergling, or 2 Zerglings, actually. So that's pretty bad for Thorzain right there, but no, Catz calls the GG as his counterattack starts to fail. And Thorzain, having taken out his natural, is going to be able to take game number 1. Well played.